Compass Mining is your trusted partner in Bitcoin mining. Whether you're investing in one machine or thousands, our customizable solutions are tailored to meet your needs. We are your experts in Bitcoin mining, offering a platform where individuals and businesses can purchase hardware, host machines, and access a range of ancillary Bitcoin mining services. We also specialize in large-scale site development and data center operations. Discover more at compassmining.io and see how we can power your success today. Hey miners, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, the official home of power mining analysis. Wednesday afternoon, a nice green day in the markets, at least in the Bitcoin mining sector. Bitcoin itself has managed to once again surpass the $90,000 US milestone. That's what we're going to be talking about in today's presentation. In addition to that, we have some very encouraging news out from Bitdeer, in addition to production results from Cipher and CleanSpark. Lots to talk about. Before we get into it, take a second, hit the like button, you guys. Big help to myself and the channel. If you're not already subscribed, McNallie Money, feel free to join and let us know in the comment section below if you're currently holding any of these three companies, your thoughts on the Bitcoin mining sector overall, and your outlook for the price of Bitcoin in 2025. Now, with that being said, let's get into today's video. Okay, guys, so that's right. Second podcast of the day. This is a unique one for us, Anthony. The market is just about closed, and lucky for us, another green day in the Bitcoin mining space. Bitcoin itself has surpassed 90,000 US once again, currently trading in the $90,300 range, with most of the miners actually showing some nice streaks of green, as you like to say, with DMG leading the pack.
Yeah, it's been a reasonable day today. Bitcoin over 90,000 in the last sort of hour or so. And yeah, mining stocks are doing really well. Most of them in green positions, and rightly so, led by DMG. And actually, we just had DMG on the podcast today, so nice coincidence for that. CleanSpark, Cipher, Marathon also having a good day, with IREN, Hut, and Wolf, all close to or above 5% as well. So yeah, it's a bit of a green day. The only red on the table at the moment is Core Scientific and Soluna. We know Core Scientific tends to not follow the trend with regards to Bitcoin. You think about that company now is pivoting towards HPC. So the bulk of its revenues over the next sort of 10 or 12 years will come from that HPC contract, in comparison to the sort of 20 exahash of Bitcoin mine that they'll be doing alongside. But yeah, a nice rally, and a much needed rally. We've seen these mining stocks drop significantly over the last 3 or 4 weeks. And a lot of people will be sitting on a totally different portfolio than they had literally a month ago. So it's nice to see some green shoots. Lots of positive news out today, which we'll cover in the podcast leading up to Friday. So I'm expecting, a few more green days for the rest of the week.
Most definitely. I don't know if we'll take credit quite yet for the DMG strength today, but you're right, Anthony. A great interview talking about Q1 earnings and their outlook, specifically HPC outlook with the Malahat Nation partnership. So a great podcast to check out, a smaller, lesser known Canadian Bitcoin mining story. Now, we talk about Bitcoin price. There's a couple of big catalysts on the horizon this week specifically. So today we're actually expecting a vote on the SB 21 bill in Texas. We've followed this state level progression of the strategic Bitcoin reserves and the role that Dennis Porter Satoshi Action Fund has played here, Anthony. But interesting to see these states pushing forward so aggressively, really front running the federal movement.
Yeah, they are. And there's quite a few hurdles they have to go through. So this is another hurdle close. And now it looks like Texas will vote this through today. There's been a lot of positivity around there. Initially, when there was change in the team down there, they felt that it might not go through, but this looks like it's going to go through now, and this could be potentially up there with Utah as one of the first states to actually fully approve the strategic Bitcoin reserve at a state level. So, looking forward to hearing that result come out during the day now today. Yeah.
Yeah, and as we tweeted out earlier in the week, we really just need one of these states to break through, and then the rest of the dominoes can fall. So we're continuing to update on that. The other one we're watching closely is the White House Crypto Summit, scheduled to take place this Friday. Now, a couple of new pieces of information just today on Twitter or X. We're now getting a guest list for this really prestigious crypto event. Some of the biggest and best well-known names in not only the finance, political, but also the crypto worlds here, along with the expectation that we may get a big announcement this Friday to really sum up or be, I guess, the cherry on top of this meeting, potentially some more direction on the crypto strategic reserve and next steps.
Yeah, absolutely. And no shocks to see the likes of Michael Saylor on that list, along with Kathy Wood, um, along with Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, and CZ from Binance as well. So some really big heavy hitters on there. Obviously, the president's gone out to get consensus from some of the biggest names in the industry, and a cross section. This is not a Bitcoin summit. This is more of a lot of crypto coins involved here, the likes of Ripple, Tether, Ethereum, Cardano, Solana. So, a lot of other coins on the table there. We heard the news on Sunday from the White House saying they were looking for a cryptocurrency reserve. Not quite what we were hoping for. We're more of the pure Bitcoin side, and I'm sure a lot of people out there will be scratching their heads at the crypto reserve. When we were down in Nashville, it was looking for a strategic Bitcoin reserve. And when we heard Senator Loomis in New York last week, she was referring to a strategic Bitcoin reserve. But now it looks like the president might have other ideas to include some other coins. So this is going to be an interesting conversation, a real group of heavy hitters in there, and hopefully we'll get an announcement on Friday as the way forward.
We certainly will. I guess he maybe missed a couple of names on that invite list, Anthony. I didn't see you and I on there, nor did I see any of the Bitcoin mining CEOs. So a little bit disappointed there. Now, the other thing you mentioned, Anthony, was the diversity of cryptocurrencies at this summit. We've heard the president not only say he wants the United States to be the crypto AI capital of the world, he wants Bitcoin mined in America, but he also wants to promote American crypto projects. So really all coming together here in front of our eyes. Now, in tandem to this, we've also had the tariffs come into place today, Mexico and Canada specifically. However, China is already firing up their money printer in preparation for the impact of these tariffs. That's leading obviously to an increasing M2 or global money supply. We've talked about this concept on the channel previously, but an interesting chart here, Anthony, showing the M2 supply increasing in the midst of these tariffs and obviously in relation to the price of Bitcoin.
Yeah, and initially we were thinking, the tariffs were on, then they were off. Now they're back on again. So quite a few mixed signals about this, but yeah, the M2 global supply on the increase there, as you can quite see from the chart.
Most definitely. So that's going to be one we'll continue to watch. I know people have been asking our opinion on the tariffs. As you say, it's very difficult to give a long-term opinion because there's so much change and fluidity to the situation. Next up, Anthony, Bitdeer Technologies Group. They came out with a press release last week. We didn't talk about this one specifically yet on the channel, but this is a concept we've been talking about with CEOs throughout this last earnings interview series. The concept of share buybacks. So we've seen obviously the Bitcoin mining sector pull back or retreat substantially. Many of these miners are trading at half of where they were just a few months ago. Bitdeer launching up a buyback program in the neighborhood of about $20 million.
Yeah, so we know that they recently completed a 9 million share repurchase, they had a previous program of 10 million, which was approved in September 24. The board authorized a new repurchase through to February 28th, 2026. So that's a year's to actually allow the company to purchase up to $20 million in Class A ordinary shares. Now, these purchases can occur on the open market, via private deals, or other lawful methods, depending on the market conditions and business needs. And Bitdeer have said they'll refund the purchase using existing cash, aiming to enhance their long-term shareholder value while minimizing the market impact. And when the share price drops, it gives the opportunity for the company to repurchase these shares at a lower price. So maybe that 20 million, making the best use of it, getting as many shares at a lower price to help shareholders in the long run.
Compass Mining makes Bitcoin mining accessible to everyone. Start mining in as little as 48 hours with our turnkey hardware, online and mining directly to your Bitcoin wallet within 2 business days. Find out more at compassmining.io and get started now.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the dynamic change here. We were talking about companies issuing shares through the ATM process not long ago, reaping the benefits of those increased share prices. Now the complete opposite of that, taking advantage of these depressed share prices in the case of Bitdeer. Next up, Anthony, we have Cipher production report for the month of February. They came out with 176 Bitcoin. As you mentioned yesterday, a shorter month overall, but another great update from Cipher.
Yeah, so Cipher, obviously February being a shorter month, 28 days, they mined 176 Bitcoin, which was 19% different from the previous period where they mined 218 back in January. Because they're in Texas, they can take use of the various programs there, and they were able to sell some power back to the grid, which was equivalent to about 4 Bitcoin. So very close to about $340,000 of power sales in the month. Average hash rate remained the same, 13.5, and the operational power at their sites that they're utilising at the moment is 327 megawatts. That will increase significantly this year as we see the likes of Odessa coming online and maybe some other sites coming online as they venture into the sort of HPC business model that they're planning to use. In terms of miner efficiency, they're in the sort of top 4 in terms of miner efficiency, along with the likes of IREN, CleanSpark, and Marathon. Their efficiency remains at 18.9. And Cipher, during the last few months, have actually been selling some of their Bitcoin to obviously pay for the operational and capital expenditure that they're incurring. So they sold 235 Bitcoin. Not as much as they sold in January, where they sold 471. So they've still managed to retain a hodl of over 1,032 Bitcoin. That's got a valuation of 87 million as at the end of February. And if you look at that valuation compared to their market cap, which we've been doing for a number of miners now, that represents about 7.1%. Even though the hodl values come down by 22%, so based on January's closing price, which was 102,000. Bitcoin hodl value compared to market cap has increased. Now, the reason it's increased is the value of these companies has dropped significantly. We highlighted at the start of the program that share prices are a lot different now than they were 3 or 4 weeks ago. This is the reason. So you can see Cipher mining, the Bitcoin price hasn't dropped at the same level as the mining stocks have dropped, and therefore the market capitalization. So that's been increasing, even though they've got significantly less Bitcoin on their balance sheet than they had at the end of January.
Makes sense. Now, the next one up, CleanSpark. This was a very strong production report, Anthony. Operational hash rate increased 12% month over month. They're essentially utilizing their entire fleet that they have deployed now and able to manage virtually the same Bitcoin production despite that fewer day month in February.
Yeah, well, I mean, for the sharp-eyed people, if you look at January, their total energized hash rate at the end of January, they'd actually reached 40.1 exahash. However, their operational hash rate, because most of that hash rate came, a large chunk of that hash rate came online during the month of January, the average for the month was 34.8. But when you start February, you're starting from the end of January. So in theory, they've nearly managed to maintain that 40.1. They achieved 39.1. So I think the utilization rate I've got them down is about 90%. So if you look at what they produce, which is a great target, 624 Bitcoin mined compared to 626, not even 1% as a difference. And bear in mind, 3 days less mining. And they were, over that 39 hash rate, all through the month of February. So that's a really good achievement. They're slowly catching up Marathon Digital in terms of production now, and they're doing things far more from an operational perspective, far more better than Marathon are. They're eking out more Bitcoin from their machines. They're online now. If you look at the power, the operational power increased to 915 megawatts. That was an increase of 5%. That power now gives them sufficient megawatts to achieve their 50 exahash by the middle of 2025, which is their planned date to achieve 50 exahash. So they've got the power in place now. The case of now is getting machines to facilities switch on now. So just over 9 exahash to do there, but they have the power in place. In terms of Bitcoin sold, only 2.73 Bitcoin sold during the month of February, and that will be partly, I imagine that 2.73 is part of the director's remuneration package. Generally, for the last sort of 15 months, CleanSpark have been really holding on to all the Bitcoin they've mined, give or take 2 or 3 Bitcoin every month. January was a one-off. They sold 22.47 Bitcoin. And if you look at their hodl has now increased to 11,177. That gives them a valuation of 943 million as at the end of February. That's a drop of 13% based on January's figure, but we know that January's Bitcoin price at the end of the month was far higher than it was in February. Now, again, we've done the HODL value to market capitalization. So CleanSpark's HODL, based on today's rate at market open, that represented 42%. We have seen the CleanSpark share price increase by 9% during the day, so that may have dropped a little bit. But compared to January, we're at 34% with a larger HODL. Again, it's that same impact. The share prices are just not correlated in the same way to Bitcoin price. The share prices have been hit a lot harder than the Bitcoin price has over the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, you're sure right about that. I'm just checking as the markets come to a close here, Anthony. The miners look to recover a good amount of ground today. Average portfolios up around 5%. Bitcoin still hovering in that $90,300 range. So we're halfway through the week. The production reports continue to come out along with earnings. Potentially the bottom or max pain is in here for the miners, but it really all rests on these big macro catalysts, specifically this crypto reserve that we talked about in the intro. So with that being said, you guys, a lot to consider here. Check out the interview with DMG today, one of the better ones with that management team. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.